under decimals, please. A couple of things with decimals today. Number one, making the fractions. Making fractions. For example, write 0.25 as a fraction. Anybody got the gist on how to do 0.25 as a fraction? Probably the easiest thing to do, Victoria, is
put 25 over 100.
the y over 100. Victoria?
Because if the last digit is in the hundreds.
Okay, because when you say this number, which maybe we should do first, this is in the tenths place, that's in the hundredths place. This is 0.25, when you say it, is 25. Why doesn't it write 25 hundredths? And when you say 25 hundredths, if you're writing that out, it is 25 100ths. But you need to absolutely positively make sure that you reduce that. What number goes into both 25 and 100? I know it's tough. Yeah, the biggest number you want to use is 25. So you divide them both by 25, which gives you a 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. 25 hundredths. Or if it is 0.8. What is 0.8 as a fraction? Megan?
8 tenths.
8 tenths. But again, we have to reduce that to 8 tenths reduces to, Andrew?
4/5.
4/5. Divide both in half. Now, kind of a rule of thumb that you'll notice here, children. How many digits are after the decimal here? 2. How many zeros after the 1? 2. How many digits after the decimal here? How many zeros there? Do you see a little correlation? How about this? 0.125. Changing that to a fraction would be, equals, that
125 over 1,000.
125 over, look at a 1 with 1, 2, 3 zeros over 1,000. Does anybody know what 125 over 1,000 actually reduces to? Same. No, that's 25 over 100. Oh boy. You could still do it, well, let's do it by 5. If you cut this by 5s, you end up with 25. Do this over 5, you get over 200. Divide by 5 again, you get 5 over 40. Divide by 5 again, you get 1 over 8. 1/8 is the same thing as 125 over 1,000. And the other thing is we have to be able to, wait, I'm on the wrong page. Find it again. Saying decimal numbers. Write, how about this one? Same still under decimals. Write 0.057 in words. Do you remember what the rules were? Actually, let me change this. Let me put a 5 in front of that, just to make it. The rules are, just jot these down quickly. The first thing you do is say the number in front of the decimal. So in front of the decimal there, I have 50, right? This is 50. Second thing you do is, anybody? You say the word and in math stands for the decimal point. So there's the and. Now, the rules for the rest. Anybody remember this? Victoria, what am I going to do next?
Count how many spaces.
Not yet. You want to say the number after the decimal place, like there was no decimal. So you just look at this number and you'd say 57, because that's what it is. So 50 and 57. And then how do I wrap it up? My last thing, the very last thing I'm going to do is, Jordan, what's the last thing I do now? You say, Colton?
How many,
You say what place value the last digit is. So here, this is the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, so that's the last words I'm going to say is the thousandths. So putting it all together, 50 and 57 thousandths. 50 and 57 thousandths. Let's look at another one. How about this one? If I asked you to either say or write that decimal number, what would it be? What would it be, Max?
202 and 202.
No, too many hands in there.
Oh, well,
202
so 202
and
and 202 thousands.
Thousands, yes. 202 and 202 thousandths. How about this one? What if there is a this? Now, you do not have to say the 0. If there's no number in front of the decimal, you can just skip all the way to step number 3 and say this part of it. And that part, Sam, would be?
635.
No, it's too many ands.
Okay. 635 millions.
Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. 635 10,000ths. Now, technically, boys and girls, if I had this number, just like in normal numbers, you're supposed to put a comma after every 3 digits. So it is in decimals. Technically, if you're doing this because it makes your life a lot easier, you should put a comma there. Because that just makes the person's job easier to read it. Because this is 7 and 39,242. And what place is this 2 in? Tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000, 100,000, millions. So this would be 7 and 39,642. Let me wrap it all up with millions. PHS. Exclamation point. It's such a fantastic number. Any issues or problems with that? Now, how about changing fractions to decimals? How about fractions to decimals? What if I am given this 7 tenths and I want to make that a decimal? What decimal would it be? Andrew?
0.7.
Yeah, 0.7 or 0.7. How about this? 35, or just 3 over 100. Let's do that one. What's 3 over 100? Addie? Oh, that would be too many zeros. Okay. Hundredths means that digit is in the hundredths place. One more. What about this? 702. 702 thousandths. Frankie?
007.
007? 0.07 or 0.7? What?
0.007.
0.00702? Now, that actually is 702 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, hundred thousandths. Just 10? That would be 702 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. This is only 7 thousandths. The 2 has to be in the thousandths place, so there's no 0. It's 0.702. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, what if I said this? 7/8, change that to a decimal. Victoria?
You can't.
Well, you can.
You just ask your pen.
You can, however, they won't ask you to do it, but I just want to make one point clear. Zach?
You times the 8 to make it like 40. Just have a 0 at the end.
What would you times it by? Yeah, well, you could get 35 over 40, but that still doesn't really change anything. You won't be asked to do this, but what a point I want you to understand is that decimals really only work when the bottom number is a 1 with the zeros after it. Alright? I mean, we can do this, we'll do it later on. But really, the only thing for you guys right now to change fractions to decimals, unless it's something you already know. You know what 3/4 is as a decimal because it's 3/4 of a dollar. What is 3/4 of a dollar? 0.75. So you know the fraction 3/4 is 0.75 just because we're used to dealing with it with money. But for numbers like this, it doesn't work so well. Decimals have to be in tenths, hundredths, thousandths, or whatever. You know a half because that's half a dollar is 50 cents, or you know a quarter because a quarter of a dollar is 25 cents. You might know some of them, but just get it in your head that decimals are tenths and hundredths and thousands. All right, for tomorrow, lesson number 35.